like the 300 PV. It's got a little stand so the patient can set it on the table while they're treating themselves. It's also got a belt clip that they can use. The international symbol for on-off is how you turn it on. And if the patient has not used the device or you haven't used it, it'll show muscle stem, TENS, edema reduction, configure. So you got 3 different modalities. The device, and then it shows you how much battery you've got at the top. You have a full-fledged muscle stem, full-fledged TENS unit, full-fledged edema reduction device all in one.
So we are not having 2 separate units anymore. We have just this one.
No, we have the separate TENS units too, just for TENS, yeah.
Okay.
But the nice thing about this one is that, you know, so often like pre-surgery, post-surgery, you've got swelling, you've got pain, you need to strengthen the muscles, you can do all 3.
Okay.
So it really is an extremely flexible device. So if you're going to do muscle stem, you hit the muscle stem button. It says, do you want to treat a large muscle or a small muscle? You choose large muscle, for example. Are you going to treat atrophy, muscle spasm, do trigger therapy, or do you want to do your own thing?
Okay.
I say I want to do a pre-programmed regimen for atrophy. Okay, it sets the on time at automatically 12 seconds, sets almost everything except treatment time, because you may want, according to the patient's condition, to lengthen or shorten the treatment time. The off time. I may want to do a long off time because I'm dealing with a post-stroke patient, or I may want a short off time because I'm dealing with a jock who's in excellent condition who tore his ACL. And that's it.
So what about ramping? So
the ramps are built into all the pre-programmed regimens, and they're all listed in the instruction book if you actually want to know what they are.
Because the other one we had to put the ramping in.
With the pre-programmed regimens you didn't have to, but if you did your own thing, you had to. Yep. So same thing with this one.
Okay.
All right. So if I go back to the home button and I want to do muscle stem, large or small muscle doesn't matter, but I want to do my own thing. This is where you have tremendous flexibility. You can set the treatment time, you can set the off time, you can set the pulse rate, you can set the pulse width, you can change the waveform from symmetrical to asymmetrical. You can do cycling simultaneous or alternating to work agonist and antagonist. Unlike the 300 PV, you can also set a lag time. How long it takes channel 2 to kick in. So I want to bring in the VMO first, then the rest of the quads, or I want to bring up a subluxed shoulder, bring the arm out, release the arm, drop the shoulder. I can do that by setting up my lag time. And of course I can change the channel ramp up time, I can change the on time, I can change the channel 1 ramp down time, and then the same thing with channel 2.
Okay.
So I do everything I could possibly imagine with a muscle stem. So if we go back to home, we say, well, what about TENS? I push the TENS button. Do you want to treat the knee, the shoulder, the back, the hand, or the foot?
Okay.
Simple as that. And hit go.
What's the difference between the TENS in this unit and the TENS in the other unit?
The both the Select and this one, you can adjust the parameters if you want to go into custom. They both have the pre-programmed regimens. They both have about the same amount of pre-programmed regimens. This one, you have modulated amplitude and simple modulated pulse. This one you also can do continuous. You have alternating ramped bursts, so there's some more choices than you would have with this one.
Because in the other one, in the Select. Because I remember you at one point talking about the variation in the waveforms being singular to your machine.
Right.
So, okay.
So you'd have flexibility with this one, not quite as much as you would with the Select.
Okay.
If you want to treat edema, push the edema button, acute or chronic edema. If you choose acute, your red wire is positive. If you choose chronic, your red wire is negative.
Okay.
All right. Go back to home, configure. Gets really cool. If you hit configure, you can check the data, see how compliant the patient was.
Okay.
Clear the data for the next patient. Over here, if you hit set, you can change the contrast in the screen.
Okay.
You can change the language, English, French, German, Spanish. And this is really cool. You have this for muscle stem, TENS, and edema, whichever one you want to work on. You can leave it unlocked, so the patient can change parameters. You can lock it, so all they can do is turn up the intensity.
Okay.
Or, what you could not do with that unit, you can choose NA, and it won't even show up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
So you have three options for either device. To give you a classic example, very first patient I set up on this, they called me and they said he needed a 300 PV and he needed a select. Saved the patient money, saved the insurance company money, saved the patient confusion of having two different units, all in one unit. They said he didn't need edema reduction, so I put NA on there, so it didn't even show up. They had a muscle stem protocol they wanted him to use, so I locked it, so all he could do is turn up the intensity.
Okay.
So when he hits muscle stem, it just turns up intensity. But he had a TENS unit for 10 years and liked to play with it and change parameters, so I left the TENS unit unlocked.
Okay.
So that's how you can fine-tune it
Okay.
to any patient, simply by going to configure, lock, unlock, or put NA, because I don't want them to even know that's in the unit.
Okay.
So very, very flexible, very intuitive to use. And again, Labor and Industries covers muscle stem, but they don't cover TENS.
Okay.
So if they have a condition where they would benefit from muscle stem, doctor writes prescription, and they have the benefit of a TENS unit.
Okay.
They have a situation with Medicare where they cover TENS but not muscle stem. If they have a condition they would benefit from muscle stem, we're willing to bill it as a TENS unit.
Okay.
So we can do that as well.
Okay.